Alright, so we're building the hydraulic lines for the K5 Blazer Hydroboost. We got one line main already, but we'll show you start to finish what it takes to make them. These are -6 90-degree builder hose ends. These are steel, take them apart. The lower nut has a reverse left-handed thread, so you can impact it onto the hose. This guy right here. Tape the ends up before you cut it so it doesn't fray up on you. You don't have to worry about clocking too much on the first one, because you just need to get it on and then set the measurement, and then we can clock it the second one so there's not curlicues or anything like that. So I don't know if you can see inside there, it's left-handed thread, and then there's a stop inside there up by the shoulder. You want to stop just before it starts pinching this, because we have to lube up the threads and this nipple. So when it comes on here, you're threading it, it's going to start here and then it's going to flare this out, and then the steel is going to lock it in there. Hopefully that makes sense. Checking it, right now we're about right here. Too much, so then you just back it off just a tad. One more. There we go. So that way the inner shaft isn't squishy in there. It works a lot better if you got not soft jaws but AN jaws. Holding the fitting. Take the crap out of it. Move the thread so they don't gall. Started by hand, so we're pushing. The tip is going into the rubber. And now the threads have started. And we're just going to walk this all the way down in one motion without a bunch of starting and stopping, because even though these are lubed, it's a friction, the fitting does get hot. Alright, that's one side down. So it's down all the way. We'll wipe all the rest of the WD-40 off. Then we'll shoot over to the Blazer, get this side mocked up, run the lines how we want it. Put this fitting on the gearbox so that way we can mark the hose, the clocking of the orientation, mark the fitting, cut it, come back here and repeat. So stay tuned, we're going to jump back over to the Blazer.
That ain't gonna work.
Hopefully you can see. So I've already got the first line from the pump to the pressure feed of the Hydroboost. Now we are going to make the pressure line from the Hydroboost to the gearbox. So we're just going to loosely put our 90 in here. Take our hose that we already put our 90 on. And just loosely put it up here. And then route it this hose, everything's going to get clamped and P-clamped to the frame. So around about right here, take our paint pen. We're going to mark the end where it fits inside the fitting. And then we're going to make a straight line where it orients with the bend of the fitting. So now that we have that, we can take the fitting back off the pump, or gearbox, if you will. And I'll go back over the table, get it taped up, cut, and then we'll install the other fitting. So this dark hose hides marks real well, even if you were to use an orange pen. So we got it right here. So here's our straight line for the orientation of our fitting to go down, and then here's our cut line right here. Sometimes 16 fingers isn't enough. I'm just going to snug it and not crush it. Cut right in the middle of the tape. You'd use a fast RPM wheel to cut through it so it doesn't heat the rubber up too much. A sawzall or a bandsaw will cut it, but it'll just tear the shit out of it. So make sure you put your safety squints on. You want to try and cut it as square as possible. Blow any debris out. Clean up any ends. So we got our straight mark here, our cut mark here. So it's going to be like this. So I always try to put this like this. So then I line up the cut mark with that. So at least I know where it's got to be. So when I tighten it down, it lines up. 60% of the time, it works every time. Alright. Mark.
Lost my lubricant.
So we got our mark here, our mark here. Now we're straight down. We can go put this on and then we'll measure up for the return lines. Alright, we're back at the Blazer. We got our line that we just mocked up and made, installed to the gearbox, following the flow of the pressure side. So now what we'll do is the return side. We got our push lock fitting on the return of the gearbox. We already installed our push lock 90 on our return hose. So we have a remote power steering reservoir that's going to go right here. So we have the return from our Hydroboost coming in. That's going to come in to the 45 of the Y, and then our gearbox is going to 90 up and go into the straight part. And then we're going to have a line coming up the core support to the bottom. So we're looking to do something like this. Hopefully that camera angle can get you guys where I need it to be. So all that's flowing there. Alright, we'll jump back to the table and we'll push lock these on. So having A-N wrenches help because it just keeps from galling up the nut. If I orientate it right. Straight, straight.
There we go.
So now this will be the return of the pump. This is coming in. Now we got our short piece here for the gearbox coming into here. And then our whip is going to come right here up the core support to wherever our power steering reservoir is going to land.
Where did my little washer go?
Alright. I'll get this installed. All right. So we got our pressure from the pump coming up into the backside. Pressure feed coming out of the Hydroboost, coming into the gearbox, pressure side. Hydroboost return, coming into our Y, and then our gearbox return coming into our Y, and then our return feed that's going to go to our remote reservoir here with our number 10 feed is going to come down here and then tie into that dash 10 right there. So then our Hydroboost system is complete, and then I'll bring it back in after these are all P-clamped up and everything's all nice and tight. Finished product. Hydroboost lines are all made except for the dash 10 feed. Waiting for the reservoir to come that's going to mount on the core support. But all returns are made, pressure lines are made, all lines are mounted and tethered together. All done.